I mean, just think about this for a second. Who would have thought that, a May's number of like 559,000 jobs would get everybody completely freaked out about how terrible that is, right? It's like I never thought I'd live in that world. But the reality is, for many people, I think they think that employment is lagging the economic recovery. And I can make the case, I don't think that's true. If you go back to the last 10 or 12 recessions, the average recession takes 30 months to fully recover. So it takes 30 months for jobs to fully recover. A big recession, like the Great Recession, that took 6 years. So the fact that we're about 70% of the way of this sort of labor recovery through 15 to 18 months is actually, I would say, we're on or ahead of schedule. But saying all that, I actually think that labor and frankly, labor shortages are probably going to be the theme of the 2020s. I think labor is the theme. I think what you're starting to see is the emergence of labor as a key driver to corporate America, to the global economy. And so much has changed for the working class American, and the power is shifting, right? This power is shifting from businesses dictating the terms for workers to workers starting to define how they want to work, where they want to work, and with whom they want to take their talents to, right? And so I would just highlight maybe three things. Number one is, the aging of America means that we have fewer and fewer working age adults. If you look at the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, we had 19 million new working aged adults per decade. Now it's about 6 million, right? So that's slowing. Add on top of that, the participation rate for the labor market that was close to 70% 10 years ago or so is now, in the 61s, right? And was 63 before the pandemic. The second thing is, don't forget about the wealth effect, right? I mean, if you want to see how the wealth effect is pulling through, just go and look at the participation rate of kids that are 16 to 19 years old. I had to work when I was 16 to 19 years old. Right now, you've got a participation rate that is like in the 20s, right? Like who's actually dipping ice cream and working at amusement parks or delivering newspapers? I don't know who it is, right? But like those kids aren't working right now. But that wealth effect of boomers is pulling through. My third one that I would just say is that the fertility rate in the United States has been declining for decades and decades and decades and decades. So smaller families 30 years ago means fewer workers today, right? And what we know is for 40 years in a row, the fertility rate has been under the labor force replacement rate, which is about 2.2 kids per adult woman. So I just think that labor and employment is going to be such a huge factor going forward. And I can see lots and lots and lots of factors on how it pulls through, not only for the economy, but for corporate America.